tell you about all this um, and that, but it's not real until you actually hear it from someone who's actually lived it. So I want you to take a listen to someone who's actually lived in his family under the heel of socialism, communism, Marxism, and authoritarianism that drove him from his home country here to America. His name is Miguel. That's as far as I'm going to go because he doesn't need the smoke from anybody that's going to push back, that has all these crazy DSA ideas that they're going to make America better. But I do want to hear I want him to tell you in his own words about what it's like when your family has to flee communism. And he's joining us here on News Radio WRVA. Miguel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Rich. Listen, before we get started, listen, you and Super Dave aren't going to yell at me, are you? Because I'm a little bit nervous talking on the radio. I understand about the vandalism and the World War II memorial.
Yeah.
How dare you? By the way, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you. I'll defend it and I have. But you have no right vandalizing.
No.
Anyway, don't yell at me.
No, I promise I won't. I appreciate you coming on. Listen, you're stepping up, helping me do something because I can stand here and talk about communism. I am blessed that I never had to live under it. Your family did. So if you can help explain to the people what we're seeing in America and what your family experienced, I think it goes a long way. So let me just start with this. Your family fled Cuba when you were 4 years old. That's when you came here to this country with nothing but a pair of pants and maybe a spare pair. Your family left everything behind. So here's my question for you. So when did you first understand that your parents hadn't simply immigrated to America the way that my grandfather did, but they actually were escaping something in Cuba?
Well, they always relay to me the stories, simple stuff like they hated beards, and I didn't understand why they hated beards, but it was connected to communism. They had seen what was going on. My father's dad told him, he said, "Son, this is communism. This isn't socialism. This is communism. You need to get out of Dodge while you can." And Dad, I mean, he did the instructions. So when we had the opportunity, we fled, and we had a family that had been here for a few years. And when we came over, we stayed with them initially.
It's interesting that you say that because your grandfather told your father, "I love you, mijo. I love my grandson, but you need to go." He was too old to flee. He was too old to escape, but he said, "I want a better life for you." But it's very interesting because you and I talked this weekend, and I wanted to make sure I was prepared to have this conversation with you. It didn't start with, "Hey, we're going to have communism." It started a different way. They had different promises for you. And before the people of Cuba knew it, those promises turned out to be lies. Can you explain?
Yes, sir. Well, it started with, Cuba was teetering on dictatorship, not necessarily communism. And of course, they went through, I think, a couple of presidents like this. But then when Fidel Castro came in, of course, he came from the mountains and he won over the rural people because the further you get from the capital, the more poverty you're going to see. He gathered the rural people and won them over. And again, he promised them, "Hey, all I want is democracy for all. All I want is freedom of elections," because they had changed. I believe they had changed the election rules and the freedom of elections. And of course, he had a great dream. And by the way, all of this, I mean, there's better people to speak on all this than I am, but you can go to YouTube, you can find all this history in there if people would search. And he promised them everything. Even when he took over, he gave the rural people the land, but then he ended up later on taking it back from them. Again, my understanding.
No private property. No private property when it comes to Marxism, socialism, and communism. Okay, let's move on because there's a bunch of stuff that I want to cover. So again, folks, think about this. Democratic Socialist America, what are they promising you? Free healthcare, free this, free this, free this, free this. Castro did the same. This is the playbook of Marxism. They promise you something, they give it to you, and then they take it away in the name of collectivism. One of the other ones that I thought stuck out to me when you were telling me about your family story is about gun control. And I know we have a lot of Second Amendment advocates, and we have a lot of people who say, no, we need to make sure that we don't have these guns in the hands of people. When Cuba took over, your uncle had a shotgun, and he was a hunter. The government said, "Hey, you know what? We're collecting all these guns. People don't need to have guns." What happened when they passed that law after Cuba fell under communist rule, under Castro's rule? Explain to me about what happened with your uncle.
Sure. In 1963, my uncle, they passed a law and he decided, hey, let's comply. By the way, all he had was a 22 caliber rifle, which is not a big caliber, and a moss gun shotgun that he used to hunt. When they passed a law, he and my cousin, they went to turn in the guns to the government. And when he showed up trying to comply with the laws, they not only did they take the guns, but they wanted to arrest him on the spot. And the authority says, hey, you're a worm. And in Spanish, it's the word gusano. Gusano is a very strong word in Spanish. That's like you're the scum of the earth and in this country. And so they were going to arrest him. And when he was complying with the law, and my uncle had a cousin that was in the Cuban army. Again, some of the family members were swayed into communism, and some had no choice, some just obliged. But he came in and he vouched for my uncle and told him, hey, he isn't a problem. He's good. And they ended up releasing him. But yeah, that was one of the first steps that they wanted to take the weapons away.
I told the Dan Levitard story when he had his papers for his family to flee. For his family, the guard simply looked at them. There were 4. He tore one up and said, pick which one stays. And he ended up in prison. I mean, it's once you get the authoritarian government, and this is a real authoritarian government, your uncle also ran into a beef with them just riding around in his car. Explain.
Correct. They were, again, they were riding, just a family, my uncle, his wife, and their 2 sons. And then they said they were pulled over by militia, army folks. And he said when they got out of the car, they were young people. They were kids. They were in their late teens, early 20s. And they wanted to arrest him right there on the spot for no apparent reason at all. And again, another family member in the army stepped in and was able to get him off. But after that, I'm here to tell you, after that, my uncle said, you know what? The heck with this, enough of this. I want out. And he was looking for a way to get out. By the way, he was a railroad worker, so he was a tough guy. I didn't appreciate him when I got, but I didn't know him. I didn't know him like this. But he was a tough guy. He was a rebel, didn't like take instructions. And at that point, he says, hey, this is no way to live. I need to get out of Dodge and my family.
And he left. And then soon after, a couple of years later, your grandfather said, son, to your dad, you've got to go. You can't raise your family. You guys left everything behind, including, we talk about private property. We don't understand what private property is. When your family fled Castro's Cuba, you left everything behind, cars, house, everything. What happened to that private property?
We did. We could not transfer that to other family members. The government took that over. It was left to the government, and of course, a communist government. They took it over. We couldn't pass it on to family members. They took control of everything. When you left Cuba, you couldn't take any money. You couldn't take any food. You couldn't take nothing with you.
Up in New York, Zoran Mamdani starting this idea of city-owned grocery stores, 30% less than everything else. One of the things you shared with me, and if you don't mind sharing with us as well, is one of the things that your family noticed was when the government took over the means of production, the grocery stores, ice cream disappeared. Share the story with us.
Sure. I asked my cousin, I said, hey, when did you really realize that something's wrong here? He said, my dad would take me around the corner. This is in Cuba. My dad would take me around the corner to a local store there, and he would buy me ice cream. And he said he would do this often every week and so forth. And he says, and there came a day when we showed up and there was no ice cream. And then come to find out that there was no ice cream after that. And he said, that's when I realized that, you know what? Something's wrong with this. Something's wrong with how this is running. And what happened is the capital city. So people go to Havana, and you know what? You got some stuff there and a lot of stuff there. But the further you get from the capital, the poorer and poorer and poorer, the people are, and the less amenities that they're going to find. And again, after taking the weapons, and there was no defense. And you look around the world now, and you see countries in the same predicament. You take the weapons away, and you know what? You got no way to defend against tyranny. You don't have, you can't defend. And, the drug lords then begin to take over because they have, the criminals are going to get the weapons one way or another. Us, the good citizens, we're going to try to abide with the law and comply with the law, just like my uncle tried to do.
Dave, I'm going to go a little long here, so I apologize, but I do have to ask you this one question. So I got so many Americans, especially younger ones, my son's generation, college kids, and you see them and they hear words like socialism, communism, they think it's about free healthcare, college, economic equality. What are they missing? You lived under this, your family escaped this. What are these kids missing that they're running headfirst into socialism, Marxism, and communism?
Dave, I would think several things. Number one, I think they're missing the history. I don't think we get taught history in our schools anymore the way that we should be taught. So you've got history. You're missing history. Number two, you're missing logic. If you would just do the math and count the numbers and do the math and do the logic of this, where it starts here, and then how year after year it starts falling off, because when people see that they can get something for nothing, they're not going to want to work. They're not going to want to put in, because there's no advancement. There's no reward for working harder. Capitalism, there's no, and because there's no reward, hey, if I'm not going to work, my back off if, you know what I'm saying? If my next neighbor is not working and he's getting the same thing that I'm getting. So when you do the numbers and you follow it all the way to the end, you realize that, you know what? There's nothing going to be there. The taxes begin to drop off. The government begins to input more taxes and request more taxes to continue their regime and their lifestyle. And it's just, there's no end. And again, so it's logic. Just follow the numbers. Just do the math and see where it leads.
We have to have you back on the program, because I think hearing this firsthand from you is as powerful to wake people up as I possibly could do here on the radio. Miguel, very brave for coming on, sharing your family stories with us, and I hope we could do it again.
Rich, certainly. And again, we're not a guy. I mean, I've been here, for a long time. I'm 63 now, and I've been in the military. I've got a college degree. I've been a master's. I mean, it's not just somebody that is, out there in left field. No. I've paid my dues, willing to die for this country and serve this country, and I have. And I love this country. It gave me a great opportunity, and I hate to see it go in the direction that it's going.
Thank you for speaking up, Miguel. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. Miguel joining us here on News Radio WRVA. You want to comment, please? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Dave, let me take a little bit of a break. We'll come right back. It's News Radio WRVA.
Hey, it's Jeff Katz. Is it the golden age of America? Todd Starnes joins us with the answer later today, 3:05. News Radio WRVA.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-200-1966 or biglou.com.